In 1963 in Cappadocia, Turkey, a man intended to do renovations on his basement. In the course of the remodeling, he noticed that his chickens had disappeared into a small opening formed during the construction. A dark passageway was discovered after the Turk dug deeper and investigated. Little did he know that he had actually found one of more than 600 entrances, leading into an ancient city found within multiple modern homes as well. When word got out to archaeologists, it took very little time for them to organize an excavation that soon revealed that this find was much bigger than originally thought. Deep beneath the surface of this location lies a sprawling network of tunnels and chambers that once served as a place of refuge for literally thousands of people. This underground city is said by some experts to be several thousand years old and inhabited by a multitude of different peoples since its conception. As we journey below the surface, we'll uncover the secrets of this massive 444 square kilometer site and discover the incredible engineering and resourcefulness of our ancestors that lived here long before us. On top of that, we'll be examining how this absolutely ancient underground city could play a vital role in helping the future of humanity when it comes to colonizing the moon and even other planets. So make sure to stick around until the end. But until then, strap in and get ready as we dig up the secrets of the Derinkuyu underground city. Whether you've heard of this site before or not, make sure to stick around until the end of the video, as we'll also discuss how this find could help humanity not only understand our past, but also our future. But if you haven't heard of it before, then welcome to Derinkuyu, Turkey. The city of Derinkuyu itself was once known as Elingubu and is located in the Cappadocia region of Turkey. Volatile, volcanic conditions millennia ago sculpted Cappadocia spires, which now attract millions of visitors to hike, ride horses or fly over its stunning landscape with hot air balloons in central Turkey. But the region offers far more than the curious shapes on its surface. In reality, beneath this alien-like surface of Cappadocia lay a wonder of equally immense proportions. More than 85 meters below the surface of this is as many as 18 levels of tunnels, though there could be more. With this depth in the ground, this makes Derinkuyu one of the deepest underground cities in the world. That is, until fallout happens and we all have to live in vaults. Over the course of thousands of years, the Phrygians, Persians, and Christians of the Byzantine era ruled over this largest excavated underground city in the world. At the end of the Greco-Turkish War, the Greeks of Cappadocia abandoned it abruptly and fled to Greece in the 1920s. While the city itself is still inhabited, the underground city is thought to date back to the 8th or 7th century BC, making it at least over 2,000 years old, though some claim it to be older. It is believed to have been built as a refuge for early Christians escaping persecution by the Romans. But this in fact is not the case. Derinkuyu was much more than just a hiding place from the Romans, and it was much older than the conception of Christianity. This tunnel system was a fully functional, self-sustaining city, complete with living quarters, stables, and even a chapel. It was capable of housing up to 20,000 people at its peak and could be sealed off from the outside world in times of danger. In addition to its cave-like rooms, it is believed that the more than 200 underground cities in the area may be connected to these tunnels, resulting in a vast network of subterranean tunnels. One of these cities, Kaymakli, is another underground city like Derinkuyu. Built within the citadel of Kaymakli in the central Anatolia region of Turkey, the ancient underground city of Kaymakli is one of the most amazing cities built beneath the surface. It is also the oldest in the Cappadocia region, even older than Derinkuyu's. It is believed that its builders may have first started carving out caves from soft volcanic rock, and eventually, the caves were expanded. The small complex of caves then turned into a vast underground city. The city is believed to have been expanded to its current size during the Byzantine era, though some claim it to have been done much earlier. Unlike the underground city of Derinkuyu, the tunnels and rooms at Kaymakli are much narrower and more steeply inclined. Today, researchers have found around 100 tunnels in the underground city of Kaymakli where people built their houses. The subterranean city of Kaymakli also features storage areas, stables, and cellars that remain operational to this day. Like Kaymakli, Derinkuyu has the presence of stables, which were used to house livestock in a much larger and more impressive quantity. These stables were carefully designed to provide adequate ventilation and lighting, making it possible for animals to survive underground for long periods of time. A well providing fresh water to the inhabitants and animals living beneath the surface was dug more than 55 meters deep. This was an absolutely essential component of the city, as the inhabitants would have relied on their animals for food, transportation, and other necessities. The underground city was built with a system of over 50 ventilation shafts to ensure a fresh supply of air. It was even equipped with a primitive form of plumbing, with channels for waste to be carried away from the living areas. Archaeological excavations have even revealed evidence for the production of wine, including cellars, vats for pressing, and amphoras. As previously mentioned, it is largely unknown when exactly the Derinkuyu underground city was built, but Anabasis, written around 370 BC by Xenophon of Athens, seems to be the earliest work that mentions it. Rather than the more popular cave dwellings on the cliff sides of the region, he describes Anatolians living underground in excavated homes in or around Cappadocia. The ancient builders of Derinkuyu had to be very careful when building these underground chambers to have strong enough supports to withstand the upper floors. If this had not been achieved, the city would have collapsed. Surprisingly, there are zero signs of collapses. This means that the people who built it were extremely smart and knew the building material very well. Considering this was done during ancient times, it is a complete mystery how they did it. Did another civilization help them? Who exactly built this huge underground city, and what exactly forced them to live underground? An expert in Mediterranean cave dwellings, A. Bertini, wrote in his essay on regional cave architecture that the Hittites may have excavated the first few levels in the rock when they were attacked by the Phrygians around 1200 BC, laying the foundation for the sprawling network of subterranean caves. Derinkuyu was found to contain Hittite artifacts, adding weight to this hypothesis. Most of the city, however, probably was built by Phrygians, Iron Age architects with advanced underground construction techniques that were used to make each of Derinkuyu's levels designed carefully for a specific purpose. To reduce the smell and toxic gas produced by cattle, stables closest to the surface were used to house the most livestock. These stables also provided a blanket of living insulation during the colder months. The houses, cellars, schools, and meeting rooms made up the inner layers of the city. On the second floor is a traditional Byzantine missionary school with barrel-vaulted ceilings and adjacent study rooms. This obviously was long after the Hittites. Having all of these such specialized rooms, the wineries, stables, and so forth, indicates that all of the various people throughout time that inhabited Derinkuyu were willing to spend months on end underground. One of the most impressive features of the entire city, however, would have been the ventilation system and protected well that provided fresh air and clean water to the entire population. These two features alone were thought to have been completed during earliest construction of Derinkuyu, way before the Byzantine Empire. But by far the most interesting aspect is that Derinkuyu and the other connecting ancient underground cities are a potential key in the importance for the future of mankind, as it can help us better plan similar cities. Cities not on Earth though, rather distant planets, and even our very own moon. Decades after the last Apollo mission, the moon is once again at the forefront of humanity's space exploration efforts. This time, however, the final goal is not only to set foot on our satellite, but to establish a permanent colony with a real moon village. Or a few of them. At this point, there is no guarantee as to when this will become a reality, but it seems inevitable. Similar to Derinkuyu, before humans further excavated it at least, the moon has tunnels formed from volcanic eruptions that caused lava flow to create huge lava tubes. Unlike the underground city of Derinkuyu though, these tubes weren't further dug up and shaped by humans. At least not yet they aren't. Scientists have found areas within moon pits that always remain around 63 degrees Fahrenheit or 17 degrees Celsius, and say these pits and caves could be turned into a subterranean world where astronauts could live, work, and explore the lunar surface. Even though pits on the moon were first discovered in 2009, scientists have wondered whether they could provide shelter or lead to caves that could be explored. According to Tyler Horvath, a UCLA planetary science doctoral student who led the new research, about 16 of the more than 200 pits are likely collapsed lava tubes. Overhangs over two of the largest pits clearly lead to a cave or void, and strong evidence indicates that another's overhang may also be connected to a cave. Solidified lava tubes form pits if their ceilings collapse, which leads to their cave-like interiors. In his study, Horvath analyzed images from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter's Diviner Lunar Radiometer experiment to determine if the temperature within pits differed from the surface temperature. To analyze the thermal properties of lunar dust and rock and to chart the pit's temperatures over time, Horvath and his colleagues used computer modeling for a cylinder-shaped 100-meter deep depression in Mare Tranquillitatis, the landing site of the Apollo 11 crew. According to the findings recently published in the journal Geophysical Research Letters, the temperature within the permanently shadowed reaches of the pit fluctuates only slightly throughout the lunar day, remaining at around 63 degrees throughout the entire cycle. In the event that there is a cave at the bottom of the pit, as suggested by those images taken by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter camera, then that cave would also be able to maintain this relatively comfortable temperature. In these shadowy pits, scientists can build bases for a variety of purposes, including growing food, providing oxygen for astronauts, collecting resources for experiments, and also expanding the base. Also, equally important, these pits and caves can offer some protection from cosmic rays, solar radiation, and meteorites. Aside from hiding from enemies, Derinkuyu is thought to have been used for similar purposes, as these researchers propose for lunar tunnel bases to shelter people from meteor showers or the effects of an asteroid impact. It is often theorized that ancient humans utilized the Derinkuyu underground city as a shelter from some natural disasters above. But even Derinkuyu isn't the first time humans inhabited caves and tunnel networks. Humans evolved living in caves, and to caves we might return when we live on the moon, said David Page, who leads the Diviner Lunar Radiometer experiment. Derinkuyu has the chance to be a perfect early model of what could very well be our future for bases and even colonies on our moon and beyond. NASA Chief Scientist Jim Green said that we could even build connective roads in these lunar tunnels to connect different bases to one another. The Diviner mission, which has continuously mapped the moon since 2009, could maybe, just maybe, learn a thing or two from the fully fledged mapping out of Derinkuyu and its connections to other underground cities in Anatolia. After all, there are said to be over 200 underground cities in the area, and we've barely explored any of these. So while mapping out the tunnels on the moon may give us ideas for our future, mapping out these tunnels here on Earth first may not only just give us ideas for our uncertain future, but also provide us with insight into our little-known past. Thank you for sticking around for today's video until the end. We would like to thank our frequent partner and collaborator, Ancient Library, for helping us with this video, and encourage you to check out the Facebook page, which recently reached 1.5 million subscribers. We'll be sure to put a link to the page as well as a link to the YouTube channel in the video description. We recently launched memberships too, which you can be a part of by clicking the Join button at the bottom of the video. Even the smallest bit helps. We'll see you next time, only on Amateur Archaeology.